Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Holly Lolly channel. You know, recently my relatives came to visit me and they were watching Japan for the first time, shared their impressions and asked me such an unusual question. They asked me why Japanese women sing. I didn't understand, but they explained it to me. My relatives believe that Japanese women do not speak, but sing. They have very thin voices, and men on the contrary have such bassist voices. And I thought that this is an interesting topic not only to tell my relatives, but also you, dear viewers. So please, before watching the video, don't forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll tell you all about it now. Let's go! First, let's break down the historical and cultural reasons with you. In Japan, traditionally, a woman's thin and high voice was considered a sign of femininity and sophistication. If we go deeper into history, even geisha and other women spoke very subtly, softly, to show that they are restrained and in everything ready to listen to their lord, obey him, and of course this could not but affect the manner of their speech and the way they speak. Softly, smoothly, refined, restrained.
思いっきりハグしてあげたら The
influence of anime and Japanese pop culture has also made itself felt, because in anime heroines are portrayed in such a subtle melodic voice, which of course creates a certain standard of attractiveness and the desire to imitate this standard. Japanese women take as a basis the way they behave in anime and also start to repeat. Because they believe that this way they will become more attractive and more kawaii. You've probably heard this expression more than once, and you know that it's just some sort of peak perfection of cuteness. There is an unspoken expectation in Japanese society that women should be more reserved and speak more quietly, while men can afford to be more expressive and speak louder. These are the social habits that are formed in a child in early childhood. He sees how the whole society around him speaks, and he too follows these habits and tendencies. Of course, if we talk about physiological and psychological factors, it is worth mentioning the size of the vocal cords. Of course, physiologically a woman has shorter and thinner vocal cords, which makes it possible for her to speak in a higher voice. Men have longer and thicker vocal cords, which gives them the opportunity to speak in rougher voices. Psychologically speaking, women may even unconsciously speak higher and thinner to conform to the norms of social expectation because very often a woman wants to appear softer. A woman believes that if she makes her voice very thin, melodious, she will seem in the eyes of others more malleable and more attractive, more sweet. If we talk about examples from everyday life, it is worth mentioning that in the workplace, a woman very often speaks more quietly and restrained to avoid conflicts and to comply with just the corporate norms of the company. Men can speak louder and more confidently, demonstrating their competence and leadership qualities. In everyday life, Japanese people often communicate with each other with different intonations depending on the situation and level of communication. For example, women may speak more softly to their friends and family in order to create an atmosphere of comfort and support. Also, we should not forget about media, because every day Japanese people turn on the TV and see a news anchor, presenter of different TV programs, who usually speaks in such a high, melodious voice. And, naturally, every person's subconscious mind has a certain image that a woman should speak melodically, subtly, singing these words, and then you will seem as feminine as possible in the eyes of others. Of course, speaking about the Japanese language, it is necessary to mention the linguistic aspect. Japanese language is characterized by its rhythm and specificity. Here, if we have letters or just letters, then here there is a clear division. Here people speak and write in syllables. For example, my name is Olga, it would be Origa in Japanese. And very often the Japanese people take advantage of that and stretch out the words. Japanese is very sweet like that, often because Japanese women artificially heighten it and make it so childlike. Sometimes it even elicits a kind of laughter from the way it sounds. I often wonder how in life you can say it like that, because when I try to imitate the way they speak in Japanese courses, I somehow have a barrier inside me. I feel like I'm parodying them like a parrot, and it's not very good. And the Japanese woman tells me it's okay, go ahead, try to do it. But I still speak the way I'm used to. She tells me that's too rude, you should soak it all in. The interesting thing is, my voice in life, it's very thin, high. That's how I started blogging and started listening to myself from the outside. I hear and think that some child is talking, a very high voice, and I straight on the contrary somehow artificially lower it. In Japanese society, a high, thin voice is often associated with friendliness and pliability, while on the contrary, a loud, more steady voice can be associated with power and an assertive tone. That a man just wants to assert himself, to say what he thinks. And it is very important for girls to show submission, and this should be conveyed in the way she speaks, so that others believe and think that she is as friendly and open as possible. As we know, the Japanese are against absolutely any conflicts, so they also smooth out any conflict situations with their intonation. They smile and speak as softly as possible, creating a friendly atmosphere around them. I also wanted to tell you about the counterbalance to these thin female voices. In Japanese youth culture, there is a unique phenomenon called gyro girls. Now I will tell you literally briefly who are gyro girls. The gyro subculture emerged in the 90s in Japan, and literally gyro translates as girl from English. It means girls who followed Western fashion trends and flamboyant style. Gyro became a symbol of rebellion against traditional Japanese values and beauty standards. They purposely rejected all of society's thoughts and expectations that they would be submissive, feminine, and very cute. They expressed rebellion as much as possible through the way they dressed. Their appearance always had bright makeup, because in Japan, just white, snow white skin is valued. To what is considered the norm in Japan, they rebelled and protested and did the opposite. Of course, this was all expressed in the way the gyro looked. They made their lips very bright, red, very bright contouring, lots of accessories. They expressed all of this through the manifestation of a rough voice. They made their voice artificially rough to show their independence. Gyro very often speak Japanese slang. They use slang that is very different from standard Japanese, and they also speak more rough and confident to show that they do not agree with the fact that a Japanese woman should be as submissive, feminine as possible. They show and display their individuality. The gyro subculture causes mixed emotions in Japanese society. Some see them as a symbol of freedom and individuality. Others criticize them for deviating from traditional norms, cultural rules that the Japanese cherish and pass on from generation to generation. And these girls, they've taken to protesting, going against the masses, and of course there are many more people who criticize them than there are people who support them. Do you think going against society is good or bad? Models and media personalities like Tenshin no Sukuwa and Kumakoda, they popularized this image of the gyro, and they became its symbol. Friends, I really hope that you have learned something new, valuable, and useful for you from this video. Please appreciate my efforts by liking and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in new videos. Bye bye!